Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our advanced podcast series. And I understand that the now for you it may not be the morning time, but for me it's morning. That's why it's a good morning. Okay, so this is our advanced podcast series. There are two reasons that I named this series advanced podcast series. Is that number one, I want to talk about advanced topics and the topics that might be difficult for you to understand or complicated in a way. So I like to talk about it and try to explain and also explore it for myself and to learn something new to improve my knowledge about the world or just my English skills. And the second reason that I talk only English. I talk in English, I mean. And this is gonna take kind of quite a bit of energy and attention, and of course, it's not gonna be easy. But I hope it will help you to improve your English also, as well as mine. And I understand that I am not native English speaker, but still I try to help you to improve your English and also to improve my English. So let's get started. This is our advanced podcast series, and today's topic is podcast, right? Podcast. The reason that I chose this topic is quite interesting. We talk about a lot podcasts. I listen to podcasts, or when you ask the teacher, okay, teacher, what should I do when I need to improve my listening, when I need to improve my general English, what should I do? And the teacher usually says or suggests, listen to podcasts, or you go to YouTube and you watch YouTube videos and they say podcast. This is podcast for listening or whatever, writing or reading or speaking, and also there are kind of video versions of podcasts and audio versions of podcasts and tons of podcasts and podcasts. And what's the meaning, actual meaning of the word, the term podcast? So I did a little bit of a research about the word podcast. This is, and here I am to share with you. So podcast, it's a kind of a blend, a mixture of two words, pod and cast. Pod and cast. And before talking about these individual words, pod and cast, I want to talk about the history, just a short history of a podcast. And podcast, actually, one journalist used this podcast, the term, in 2004 in his interview. The reason is that in that time, 2004 or about 2000, the beginning period, the internet has improved, and it was kind of the internet became very popular, and because of that there are many contents like video contents and audio contents, and people start uploading and downloading and watching again, and it those are the things or contents that you can play it again. Those are the things in general. But people are kind of lazy, in my opinion. That's why they need kind of a word to generalize or to mean for all of the contents, all the things, that videos and audios, and those are the things. If you want to talk about, you know, if you say video, it could mean any kind of video that's, for example, on TV, like TV show or movie. You watch it once and you may never watch it again. Or it's like a radio show or music that you may listen to on radio, but you may not ever watch it again. I mean, listen to it again. And this is what you call just basically radio show or TV show, right? But what about the video or audio content? You can watch it again and again and again, anytime you want or anywhere you want. And this is the place, or this is where we need to use a different word, a different vocabulary, right? And I think this were the time. Uh, Sorry about that. This were the time This journalist in 2004 used the term podcast, for the content that you can watch it again and again and again. Especially this is audio, right? You're listening to my podcast. It means that if you don't understand anything, you can come back and listen to again, listen again and again, or any kind of video content, you watch it again and again and again. There's the always time, and this is basically called podcast. I said that earlier, it came from two individual words, pod and cast. Pod and cast. What's the meaning of the cast? Let's look at that first. Cast comes from the broadcast. Broadcast means to transmit audio or video content through to, like, TVs or radios. You transmit and you can watch it, or like you can listen to it from on radio. This is the term comes from broadcast. I think you understand it pretty easily, this term broadcast. And if you take cast from broadcast and add it to podcast, then it comes podcast. What about the pod? Pod, interestingly, has its own history. Comes from iPod. It's kind of a device. You can listen to music. It's iPod. It's a popular device from the company Apple. iPod. And ironically, this pod comes from the movie named 2001: Space Odyssey. I think you know about it, or you don't know, but I don't know about it. It comes from the movie, and one of the scenes in the movie, kind of creators of this name, and this guy, who was the leader, or who was the kind of executive, and the process of giving names to the device, podcast. He sees the movie, he watches the movie, and he sees that a kind of pods. Pods means self-contained, kind of individual small devices that you can live in it, in the space. You can ride it, and basically you can do something individually. And he sees that in kind of he takes that word as a name for iPod. And I stands for many kind of different things, kind of inspire, improve, or something like that. It's like you use for iPhone, iPhone. And it's kind of a famous name for the company Apple, iPhone or iMac. And just like this, you use, or we use, or people use for iPod. Here it comes the word iPod. And that's, you take from iPod a pod, and you take from broadcast the cast part, and you just mix it, and here it comes podcast. This is the I think this is the how it became existed, or this is how started people using it, podcast. Usually now we use any kind of video or any audio content that can be played again, the word podcast. So I think you understand it quite a lot. So if you want to do your own research, you're free to go, just if you're interested in it. Yeah, this is all. That's all. So thank you for listening. Have a great day. Goodbye. See you next time.